So up next, we have Bridging the Generation Gap, Creating a Culture of Connection with the one and only Mae Gray. With a passion for fostering understanding and collaboration amongst diverse teams, Amanda has become one of the most sought-after voices in the field of workplace dynamics. Fair warning, Amanda is a millennial. Hi, millennial. I think I'm called an elder. I'm an elder millennial. But never fear, Amanda grew up the baby of a big family where she was always around the adults with almost no cousins her own age. She gets how to talk with anyone, giving unique insights into this whole generation thing. And today, her immediate family spans 5 generations, keeping her hip to all the terms. So whether you are trying to bring younger team members up to speed or striving to convince someone about the new tech tools will help, not hinder, Amanda is here to assist, get all on the same page and to win this event world together. Everyone, please help me welcome the one and only Miss Amanda Mae Gray. Now, Amanda, I have to ask, what type of millennial are you? Senior millennial, junior millennial?
I was born in '88 and gonna just fall on stage. It's totally fine. No, Brock, it didn't happen. Don't make that face. I consider myself an older millennial because I have an old soul.
An old soul?
Yeah.
Do you remember Blockbuster?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Do you remember childhood before digital?
Yes. And we had to rewind the VHS tapes. I know all of that.
Absolutely. Leaping over the couch to make it back to your show before the commercial break ended.
Yes, and none of this binging shenanigans.
No. I introduced my daughter to commercials. She's like, no, Mama, next episode. I'm like, that's not how TV is.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way, sweetie.
Well,
Sorry.
you tell us the most about that, and we look forward to hearing all you have to say.
Thank you so much, Devin. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was working at Verizon Wireless Cellular Sales, selling cell phones. Yeah. They had this whole gimmick. They wanted us to greet the customer at the door, open it up, and welcome them in. It's my turn next. Okay, another female. I got this. Welcome to Verizon Wireless Cellular Sales. How may I help you today? Is there someone more technical here? More technical? I'm the most technical person in the store. You're gonna go ask those boys a question, and I'm gonna have to come answer it for them. What do you think I am, some dumb blonde? It's clearly strawberry. Okay, I didn't say that, but you know I wanted to. Have you ever been rejected instantaneously without even being given a chance? I felt like it kept happening to me over and over again. I thought there was something wrong with me. So I tried everything. I did all the makeup. I did no makeup. I did my hair back. I left it down. I tried a suit. I went more business casual. I even tried the good old-fashioned glasses. But nothing seemed to make a difference. I kept getting, not you, not today. As a millennial in the 2010s, trying to sell technology, I had a stereotype. Dumb, uninterested, lazy, narcissistic. But it wasn't me. Have you ever had a stereotype from your generation that just made you cringe? How did it make you feel? Not good. The thing is, with generations, we all end up with stereotypes, whether we like it or not. But we don't have to let those stereotypes define us or anyone else. We can bridge this generation gap through understanding, fostering collaboration, communication, building what I call a high-five culture, and understanding our shared why. Over the last 100 years, we have had unprecedented change in the way we work and the way we live, which is making us live and work longer. There are up to 5 generations in the workplace today, and that's unprecedented. We've never had so many generations all working together at once, which means we have this amazing opportunity for collaboration and new ideas and so much wisdom, but that also means there's a chance for some problems. I don't know if you've ever experienced any of those problems between the generations. But with the exasperation of technology, everybody knows about them too, because it's all over social media. But the last 100 years have been fascinating. That silent generation, man, they've seen some stuff, right? And I will tell you before we move forward that yes, these dates are fluid. You might be like, I don't know if I really am in that one. And this one I did get from Purdue Global, so I would think they're a reputable resource. You can make your own decision there. But it's really based on cultural events that happen when somebody is in their formative years. So you might be on the cusp of one of these generations, and that's totally cool. You might be an older or a younger millennial, but this is just the general guidelines that we're going to go with today. First up, we have our silent generation. They're considered dependable, straightforward, tactful, and loyal. Do we have any silence in here today? Nobody? No matriarchs, no monarchs, nothing? Okay. Now, they are aging out. But in the event world, you're still going to potentially see them at your events, and they might be the one paying for your events as well. So they're not going anywhere just yet. But this generation, man, they saw some stuff, right? They had the Great Depression and World War II. Stability as a child, food, not necessarily a thing. That's what shaped their thoughts and ideals. But then after the war, do you guys know what happens when GIs come home from the war? Babies! And guess what happened? It was the baby boom. Oop, we went on too far. I got too excited. Baby boomers are considered optimistic, competitive, workaholics, and team-oriented. And I already know, where are my baby boomers in the house? Yes, one, two, yeah. I thought there might be a couple of you guys hanging out with us today. The thing is, the society and infrastructure was not ready for the boom. The schools were overflooded. There was just not enough opportunity. So of course they're competitive. Of course they're workaholics. They had to be successful. At the height of the pregnancies, I guess you could say, in 1957, the average woman had 3.8 children. That is a lot. I know, that's a lot. It has since dwindled, and it usually roams somewhere in the twos. 3.8 children. That's a lot of competition. These boomers started what we call individualism. They began this idea with things like the Civil Rights Movement, Rosa Parks, John F. Kennedy. They were optimistic. They landed on the moon. How cool is that? And they also had some cultural phenomena like the Beatles. They changed the way we were and the way that we worked. Then came Generation X. Flexible, informal, skeptical, but independent. All right, Gen X, it's your turn. Yes, I like it. Yes, I'm a Gen X. This is considered the latchkey generation. Latchkey because when you went home after school, you had to let yourself in because both of your parents were probably working or were divorced. It's the first generation to have that, and there wasn't the child care at the time. They also had MTV. Yes, but it was important then. And televisions and video games, a lot of entertainment for the personal person. Yeah, it's a good time. But that's why they're independent. They're also overlooked and overshadowed because there's so many less of them and so many boomers. Boomers are still, to this day, in positions that would have typically been passed down. So sometimes they're also considered the lost generation. Then we've got our millennials. Any other millennials here? Yay! You were waiting for that too, weren't you? You were like, I'm ready, it's my turn. We're competitive, civic-minded, open-minded, and achievement-oriented. Now, we had the internet, but it was dial-up. Come on. That beautiful dial-up noise. And we had AIM instant messaging, the first form of social media. And then we had Tom and MySpace. That was a good time. And I don't know about you, but that was my first phone. That super cool pink Motorola Razr, yes, with a color camera. Oh my gosh, amazing. But we also had 9/11 and the War on Terror. And what was a wonderful time and comfort, security came crashing down. However, there was a rise in patriotism. The collective nation was on the same page. And finally, our Gen Z. Global, entrepreneurial, progressive, but a little less focused. Gen Z, do you want to admit it? Yes! She's like, yes, I want to admit it. Don't leave me out. Yes. She's focused. Well, but can you really blame them for being less focused? They're the first ones, exactly. Hello, iPhones, hello, screens in their face since they were babies. Google, no more going to the library and flipping through an encyclopedia to figure something out. 2-day shipping with Amazon. How would you be patient or focused? Like, come on. But they also had COVID-19. And even though we all experienced COVID-19, this was still in much of Gen Z's formative years. And it went from some in person and some online to only online, and everything in person was super dangerous. You're dangerous, you're dangerous, you might be death. I don't know, I can't trust anybody, which is a big difference than 9/11 and patriotism. And it also means that the in-person skills are not quite the same, because y'all are danger. It also means we really need to give them a little bit more grace. We really don't know the full effects of COVID-19, but we can all appreciate where they're at and work with them where they are. I was doing some research on this whole generational thing, and I was curious. So I typed it in my little Google machine, and Time magazine came up. Now, I don't know about you, but I have always considered Time magazine to be relatively reputable. A stand-up magazine for the most part, at least informative. So I thought, okay, this seems like a good resource. Do they have anything on generations? Well, yes, they do. They have a whole catalog online of all of their covers, which I thought, great. So let's start with us millennials, because I'm a millennial, so where did I start? With me. Here is the cover from 2013. The me generation. Millennials are lazy, entitled narcissists who still live with their parents while they'll save us all. Okay, well, maybe that explains why I was getting a little slack selling cell phones, you know what I mean? All right. What about you Xers? Any slack for you guys? Oh, yeah. 1990. 20-something. Laid back, late blooming, or just lost. Overshadowed by the baby boomers, America's next generation has a hard act to follow. There was not even like a saving grace line on this one. This was just like, yeah, good luck. Ouch. The poor Gen X, you guys got it. Not fair. Okay, but let's go all the way back to the boomers. The boomers in the room are like, do we have to? This is my particular favorite cover. Let me get out of the way of it because I think you guys are going to really love it. And this cover is from when the first round were graduating college in 1968. Time magazine, The Graduate. Look at that beautiful beard and that amazing necklace. Some of you already saw what's my favorite part, though. Can you trust anyone under 30? Obviously not. Wait, but we couldn't trust these guys, and we couldn't trust those guys. Can we trust these guys? Is this a generational thing, or is there maybe also some sort of coming-of-age situation going on here? If every generation gets a hard time from the older generations when they start to enter the workforce, maybe it's something we need to consider a little bit differently than generational. Sometimes I think we're just lost in translation. When you're new to the world, you want to create your mark. Everything you come up with is brand new, clearly not stacking on top of what everybody else did coming before you. You are so cool, you got to come up with the new slang, the new terms, but you also have new ideas. And you challenge the status quo. You see what was done and say, no thanks. And this also goes back to the individualism that the boomers started, that X kept doing, that millennials sure really wanted, and now the Z insists upon. But if we're lost in translation, what does that look like with our language and our communication? Let's talk about the history of the word cool. Oh yeah, if you were a silent generation, you were hip and swell. Yes, you were, and that was great. Then, the boomers were groovy and far out. Yeah. Then it was cool and rad, because those Xers, they're just, I don't care. And then us millennials were like, awesome, epic, yes! And Gen Z, well, they're lit in fire. I know, I don't know why something should be fire when it's not literally on fire, but that's what they like to say. But we're all just trying to say cool. Like, we're not really saying anything different. We just all have to be individuals and say it in our own little way. So sometimes we really just don't understand each other because we're talking a different but yet the same language. And don't worry, I've got a special gift for you guys at the end. If you scan my little QR code at the end like you've been doing all day, I will give you the top 25 Gen Z slang at the end for you to be amused by, hip and cool with. But it's all about communication. Really, the way we bridge this generation gap is through communication. And there's not one solution for every particular instance, and this isn't going to be the end-all, be-all, but it's really where everything starts. Communication is that glue that binds us together. It lets us be able to work together to understand each other, even if sometimes we got to say fire instead of lit. Okay. Communication is the key, but the problem is, what if we don't communicate well? Why don't you guys take a few minutes at your table? I will set a cute little timer and discuss, and then I'll have a few people tell me what they think is the answer to this question. Why? What are we losing if we don't communicate well? So I'll give you guys 3 minutes. Discuss at your tables. Pick somebody that likes to talk, and then we'll come back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bing! Okay, that's it. All right. Who wants to be our first, Oh, John Chan. John Chan, what do you think? What are we losing?
It's not what I think.
Oh, it's not what John thinks. It's a collective situation.
When you are not communicating well, you lose communication. You lose sales. You lose service. But most of all, because in our business, we don't sell a product.
Correct.
We sell a problem.
Ooh,
And you lose trust when you don't communicate.
this is true.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shelton.
Fantastico, fantastico. In the back. Everything. Good answer. He's like,
I have a mic now.
welcome to the club.
Should I repeat? Okay. We came to the conclusion that without communicating well, you're losing everything. And that's for all kinds of relationships, all kinds of interactions. You just can't get anything across, any of your ideas or actions. It's just quite simply everything.
Absolutely. You were raising your hand. You know you need a mic.
I know I need a mic. Understanding and the ability to collaborate
Yep.
and the ability to share historical knowledge.
Historical knowledge, I like that. Anybody else? Coming down to the front.
I can project really well.
Me too.
Yeah, no problem. I think we got a little deep at our table. We talked a lot about generational trauma and legacy, and I think that's something when we were trying to, I guess, speak in the lens of the generations, and something that Kalia mentioned was losing the loss of legacy.
Yeah.
And so when you don't allow for those different generations to be a part of your process and your conversation, you kind of forget what you would have learned in the past and how you can build off of that. And so you're basically starting from scratch.
Absolutely, yeah. Ooh, he's stealing your microphone.
So the first conclusion we came to is that this is the cool kids table because
Perfect.
we are groovy and far out, man.
Heck yeah.
Just dude.
Heck yeah.
But really, we started talking about how if you're not communicating well, your group gets smaller and smaller and makes stupid decisions. And we really got into we need to bring all the voices in because that's how we transcend one or two ideas into that third idea that can really take us forward. Did
Absolutely.
I get that right?
Absolutely.
Perspective is the word.
All right, we'll close out with you.
I like to
Just
turn
come
my
to the-
back to people. So in addition to understanding what someone else had said and in the grouping under everything, we have time. When we don't communicate, we lose time. And we lose connection, and we lose community. That's where we came from. Thank
Perfect.
you.
All of this is correct. How crazy is that? So do we need to be good communicators? Yes. But what does communication take? It's at least two people, and there's somebody like me talking, having a good time, and there's the listening. But here's the thing. People have to be heard before they can listen. People have to be heard before they can listen. It's really hard to be a part of a conversation, to hear what you're saying, if they don't feel like they are valued, seen, like they belong. If I didn't share stories with you that were personal, that brought you in, that made you smile, laugh, think, you would have had a harder time listening to me just blabber on about facts and figures. It would have been probably a little boring too, and I don't know if you guys noticed, I don't like boring. We have to have people feel heard. How do we do that? It's through acknowledgement and recognition is the first and easiest way to really do it. You guys are like, yeah, I know. Heard that before. Okay, but why aren't we doing it? Why is this not something that we're doing on a regular basis? There has been countless studies that show when people feel acknowledged and recognized within their organization that they are happier, they're more productive, and they feel like they belong in the culture. I did a study, you can call it that, a survey, on my own LinkedIn network. And I asked, do you feel like your culture at work is that of acknowledgement and recognition? And there was some 600 views on this study, and out of all of that, only 24% said that their work culture was that of acknowledgement and recognition. 24%. Now, I don't know about you, but in this case, that's not a great number. Not really. And I wonder if that's really even the best number, because how many people were like, I'm not answering that public survey because what if my boss tells and they think I hate our culture? So it's probably a lot less. 24%. But there is one thing that we all have. It's very tactful. It's very easy. And that's what I call creating a high five culture. And I literally mean I want you to start high-fiving people more. Some of you are like, okay, Amanda, that sounds a little too easy, maybe a little juvenile. Yeah, it might be. But maybe that's the beauty in it. Maybe it's so simple. And maybe it's really the one thing that we need that can then start the conversation, start the interactions, create a literal physical touch that is safe, that opens up those lines for listening so that people feel valued and heard. One of the surveys also said that the younger generations, the younger they were, the more they needed acknowledgement and recognition. I want you to think back when you first started driving. Was driving scary when you first started driving? Was it maybe a little traumatizing? Did you traumatize your parents? yeah. Or have you been traumatized by a teenager trying to learn? Yeah. Yes. But here's the thing. If you drove here, despite there being probably some awful traffic, especially with the rain and all, did you really think about the mechanics of driving? Probably not. Because you've been doing it. It's in your subconscious. You don't have to think about it. So it's super easy, guys. Come on. But that correlates with this idea that when you're new at something, it's really freaking hard to you, no matter what your age is. So instead of giving somebody a hard time because it's so easy to you and such a no-brainer, maybe to them it is difficult and we do actually need to high-five them and tell them, I see you, you're doing a good job. How can you create this high-five culture in your world? You might call it flowers. That's the Gen Z phrase, giving people their flowers. Or whatever this is called. I don't know what this is called. Snaps? Is it just called snaps? I actually don't know the term. But how can we see people where they are and acknowledge them on a regular basis? I'm not talking quarterly. That's not good enough. We need to do it weekly. We really do. We really do. So we're going to do another group activity. Because when was the last time you got a high five? Oh, yeah, somebody did. Okay, good. Usually it's always crickets and everybody's like, dang, I don't know, Amanda. So what we're going to do is at your tables or in little groups, I want you to take 15 seconds and stand up. Be the center of attention with your loud voice. Say one thing you were proud of from the last 6 months, and then you're going to get a high five or two or however many people are at your table. I feel like there's slight anxiety for this. You have done something in the last 6 months that you're proud of. It can be family-wise, it could be career-wise, doesn't matter. And go. No, not at all at the same time, one by one. Sorry. It'll be a mad rush. I could have phrased that better. Touche, touche. I got excited. Give you guys like another 10, 15 seconds. All right, if you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. If you can hear my voice, do a little shimmy in your dee 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 dee. Yeah. You guys were like 3 times? No? Dang it. Oh. When he says whatever it is and they start high-fiving, I want everybody to be like, ready? Yay! I know. Thank you for playing along with my game. How did that make you feel? Was it great? Yes. Doesn't it feel nice to be seen? Don't you feel like you could now be listening to you people at your table? Like you're part of something? What's interesting is, like we talked about yesterday in the very morning panel, the first panel, they talked about how we are in a connection deprivation. Coming off of COVID, we haven't been doing this, and we definitely haven't been physically touching. But there have been studies that say we require connection, we require touch. And this is just something simple that you literally have in your back pocket, that you can literally do at any time. But also, how can you expand on that and create that high-five culture of acknowledgement and recognition on a regular basis? It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. People want to feel like they belong. And it's hard to feel like you belong, especially when you're younger, especially when you're new, and everything's scary, and it's hard, and you think you're trying, and you're given a hard time back. However, if they are not trying, maybe don't give them a high five. You know. Fair enough. Understood. I mean, I get it. It doesn't always happen, and I can't change all of that, and I can't give you something to make them do everything. But if you start to acknowledge them and see them where they are and give them those props, it's going to open up that ability to have the communication, to bridge that generation gap, and to be more collaborative altogether. After you've done that, after you've started opening those doors, created that culture, then it's time to come to a shared why. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we here? As event planners, very simple, we want to create amazing events that leave our attendees feeling speechless, like they're having a great time, like their investment was worth it. Very simple. But there are a lot of ways to do that. A whole lot of ways. And all the different generations are going to have all the different ideas. How can we do this? Which idea is going to be the best? How should we execute? It's hard to know which one's right. Not too long ago, my mother-in-law was mad at me. She called up my husband in her 5'2" Italian New England fury and said, "Gerald, I don't understand why your wife is so disrespectful. She never uses my name when she texts me. Doesn't she understand that that's how you do it? You just say, 'Hi, Angela,' and then you text." I'm sorry, Mom. You don't have to say that in a text message. I was perplexed and in trouble all at the same time. You don't have to do that in a text message. Who's doing that in a text message? I did nothing wrong in my mind, because that's my first phone. And we invented texting with these sweet Motorola razors. And who has time when you have to hit that 4 key, 1, 2, H, 1, 2, 3, I. That's 5 times just to say hi. Ain't nobody got time to be saying hi, Angela, all the time. We invented shorthand. Thank you very much. But to Angela, she's in her 80s. To be fair, every single time in her entire 80-something-year-old life, whenever she got a written message, it always started with, "Hi, Angela." Every single letter in the mail, then every single email, every written communication every time. So to her and her world, I was wrong and rude. But the thing is, we have a shared why. That guy, that tall, dark, handsome Italian man, dang it, I fell for him. But we both love him. And we want our family to be great, to be loving, to be supportive. We have a shared why. So, I took the concessions and I try to write, "Hi, Angela," more often in our texts. Doesn't happen every time, because sometimes you're just like beep, 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 beep. But I'm more cognizant of it. And after the grandkids explained it, they helped her understand a little bit more about what texting really is. Although, one of them got the bright idea to teach her how to talk to text. And let me tell you what, poor Siri is reading me novels. And I get it on the car, and it's like, brrr. I'm like, "Take a breath, Siri, I got you." If my 80-something-year-old mother-in-law can figure out how to voice the text, can't we all agree that really what's more important is our shared why and not how? We could text, we could call, we could email, we could voice chat. We could do all sorts of different ways to do that communication. And with all the different generations, there's going to be a bunch of different ways to do the same things. But the how is less important than the why. We got to come together on that why. So that's really what's important. And to get together on that why, I give you this one tool. It's called a purpose pause. Say you're at the beginning of an event. Think of yourself like a baseball team, maybe a basketball team. I don't care what sport you like, choose your sport. You get in the huddle, take like 30 seconds, get the whole team together and come up with what your shared why is for that event. Get on the same page, right? So that we can make sure we have the most amazing event and the best time, because the nitty-gritty and the how is so much less important than the why. So take that time to pause, come together as your team, and figure it out, so that you can have those amazing times all together, no matter what generations you're working with or serving. When we do that, we're going to bridge this generation gap. When we understand the concessions, understand the different methods of communication, utilize them, be open to them, and be a little more forgiving for one another, and see each other as those individuals by using the high five culture and our shared why. Now, as you've done many times, I would love to get some feedback from all of you, and we'll have a short Q&A if anybody does have a question, and then I'll leave you with one final thought. But if you would, or you'd like to connect, or you're just like, I want to see that Gen Z's 25 slang list. Sounds interesting. It's coming along at the end on that one. But that really helped me know what you liked. Maybe if you didn't like it, I am open and would love to connect as well. I'll give you just a minute to do that. And then if anybody has a question, we'll grab you a mic. And we will take about 2 minutes for any questions. But if you don't, that's okay too. I'm going to pop.
Hi, thank you so much. My name's Nicole Poole. I'm with the Heathman Lodge, and I just want to thank you. And you were so just enthusiastic and amazing up there on stage. It kept us all intently listening. But I just wanted to share our assistant general manager. His name's Patrick Connolly, and every single morning he comes up to the sales office. We're on the 4th floor, and it's not at any particular time. It's just he probably has something he's bringing up there or something, and every time we each have a different, like some people have handshakes, some people have hugs, some people do high fives.
That's awesome.
But he comes and does that with us, and it's just like kind of like 30-second thing that he does, and it just builds that bond every single day. And so that's his high five way. So
That's his high five culture.
Yes, so I
That's
just
brilliant.
want to say that was beautiful, and I'm gonna bring that back and share that of how amazing that is that he does. So
That is amazing. Thank
yeah.
you for sharing. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions? I'll come up with an answer even if I don't know it. Yeah.
Got like 2 speed bumps.
Oh, yeah. Hi again.
Don't fall.
Adriana with Americans United for Separation Church and State. I just got hired as our conference and partnerships manager, which is a completely new role within the organization. We do have all 5 generations in our organization.
Yeah.
And my role is to manage our Summit for Religious Freedom. And so I'm wondering, what does that look like as far as event space, cultivating that when you have different generations who have different points of views, who you kind of want to foster an environment where folks can kind of work off of each other and see the importance of all of them. And so, yeah, I'm just wondering what that would look like.
You said with religious different points of view?
Well, we're the Summit for Religious Freedom.
That's where that came in.
But
Okay.
it's just it just creates an environment for people to practice whatever faith they want to without it being hindering on the government of law.
Sure.
But my idea of particularly of like just that intended experience, right? Like, so like the thing of us being able to sit here and talk with our different views, but making sure that it feels safe,
Yeah.
I guess, and it feels empowering to everyone in the room.
I think it starts with having that very direct statement and opening it up that way. Hey, we want to have a very safe space to talk about this, and I think it would be important that we have a meeting where we have that safe space. If you don't establish the ground rules, it's hard to play the game. So if you expect people to have a cohesion in their conversation, you got to set it up so that the expectation is that we're going to be polite and nice to each other. Give them those directions, and then it's going to be able to happen. And then just, keep acknowledging them for what they are doing well.
How would you translate that, though? Like, I feel like millennials should see there's a shared language
Yeah.
within our generations that sometimes don't translate for those older ones. So, like, how do you translate language to make those generations who probably don't understand where you're coming from understand that?
I think in translating to different generations, the key is to collaborate with others that are in a different generation than you, that do understand it. So in my example with my mother-in-law, I had her grandkids because she looks up to them. She loves them. She'll listen to anything they say. When she's mad at me, she's not going to hear me. But if you have that understanding with, maybe you've got a Gen X or a Boomer that understands that needs to explain it up, they'll have a better time explaining up or explaining down. So you got to come up with that in between and work with the people who can understand in either direction. Wow, that was a good noise.
You're welcome.
Thanks. All right, we are at our time, so I'll leave you guys with one last thing. And also shout out to Pacific Northwest, PCMA. My sister didn't like me since the day I was born. Literally on the day I came home from the hospital, she was out in the garden ripping up all of the flowers because the baby was inside getting all the attention. I know. A couple of years later, it's spring. We're outside on this beautiful sunny day on the seesaw, up and down, when all of a sudden, wham! I drop down, my lip busts open, it's blood everywhere, because she got off while I was at the tippity top, just like she was told not to do. My mom rushed me to the hospital. I think there's a piece of her lip missing. Thankfully there isn't, but she may need plastic surgery someday. That left me with a scar. It's right here on my lip. You probably can't see it, but I can feel it. The thing is, we all have scars. And maybe it's from an individual, but it's also from our generations. Things that happened while we were growing up that are invisible to somebody else that doesn't see them and doesn't appreciate how it affects them. But we don't have to be defined by those scars. If we can see each person as that individual, open up that communication, lift everyone up, and have them feel seen through that high five culture, make sure we understand our shared why, we'll come together and be able to start bridging that generation gap, even if it's just brick by brick, one at a time. Remember, people have to be heard before they can listen. Thank you.